students I've had before, I imagine seeing your faces and hearing your voices. It has definitely been a transition for me this summer. I did not get to say goodbye to you guys the way I would have liked, but I hope you guys have a wonderful new art teacher, and I look forward to still making videos to encourage you and anyone else in the world who might want to learn through what I have to say. I typically start with an About Me project, and I wanted to share an idea of how to remix that. I like to, those who have done the original project, each time I see them, I like to try to make up some kind of new twist because, we all can benefit from a chance to express ourselves and make a project about, our heart, our emotions, our lives, like whatever, however we want to communicate that. So here we go. Okay, first of all, you're more than things. Typically, I start with a project where students can, include their favorite hobby, their favorite food, their favorite music. It's a very clear communication piece. And those things are still okay, but I do encourage you this time to dive a little deeper, to be creative. So you might perhaps include a pencil if you like to draw, or a baseball bat, but instead of concrete things coming from that, maybe you show colors and shapes that express how you feel about that thing. Just to give you an example. Art is people expressing their experiences, thoughts, and other information. So we need to talk about the other information so that our art can come, the art ideas can come and be what they need to be. A couple prompts I thought of for this were ideas. So like the abstract nouns, emotions, goals, and like a general timeline. So when you think about a timeline, you might think about history. I know I believe there's an 8th grade English lesson where students get to lay out their life so far on a timeline. That is a very logical way to express who you are and what you've been through besides the pictures. And it can be very creative as well. This picture is AI generated, which I don't always recommend, especially for student artwork. But this is a way to brainstorm perhaps, or help you think of a concept in a new way. I will say the AI generator I was using on Pixlr seemed a little biased in some of its creations. So I'm just going to leave that there. So anyways, this is interesting. Like the perspective they used, I could see myself like walking down this road, and each color or shape representing an event in life. And you could, like in those shapes, draw words or pictures or symbols of things that you've been through or defining moments in your life. So just an interesting IB tie here, orientation and time and place. So personality is always cool, right? You can Google words that describe you. So like, for instance, maybe you just say, I know I'm funny, but what are some other ways to communicate funny? Or you might say, I'm really similar to this person I know from a movie. What are they like? And so you can flat out Google, like, describe the character in this movie. And that might help you come up with more words to understand, or even just using the social aspect of learning where you can talk with someone and idea generate. Like even something as simple as like, what do you see about me? Or if I say I'm adventurous, would you agree with that? And they might not know you that well, but that could be a way to brainstorm. You could even brainstorm with someone who you know already knows you well from another class or in your family or something. So if somebody is relational, I mean, obviously you could do something with representing people or with hands, faces, backs, heads. I mean, you can even show inanimate objects. Like you could show two baseball caps side by side, or you could show something else that you do with that person. If someone's adventurous, perhaps they could draw a shoe that's all kind of worn out. So it helps to help like write your thoughts down and see where your brain can make connections. So like a mind map. And you could do stream of consciousness writing where you write down the prompt adventurous and then you just start writing a story, like every word that comes to your mind for a minute or two, and then look at it and go, oh, wow, like I can really picture what I just wrote. There are so many ways to brainstorm, and your personality is fun, and you might even have 4 or 5 of these, or you might not know how to describe it. There's definitely personality quizzes out there. Okay, ideas are the abstract nouns, and everybody's different. For me, I think about faith a lot, and my faith is important to me because it has to do with the relationship with God. And so this artist did a really beautiful job connecting who she is to like pottery and being broken and Jesus fixing her. So you get to these metaphors, these symbols, these analogies when you think through what really matters to me and how could I show that in a way that is an analogy. So again, it deals with the connection of words and the expression of thought. And if you struggle with writing or talking, you could use the internet and you could type in things like, maybe you really like creating new stories and you want to say ask Google, like, what is an analogy for creating stories? Or you could take an item and you could personify it. So you could take a pencil and give it a face and give it arms and legs. Okay. So again, documentation is important. And when you list topics that are important to you, I also want you to challenge yourself and think, well, what do I want to be important to me? So for instance, my family is really important to me, and that's why I resigned teaching, even though teaching was important to me. I obviously put my family before my work, and so my life had to change. But things that I want to be important, I want to learn more about sewing. And so that needs to become a goal, which is another section. Also, it could be topics that you put on the back burner, or like you just kind of put it off, or maybe topics that are hard to think about, but they're really important to you, or like they matter to you and you just hadn't thought about it in a while. You can pull those things out. So sometimes it takes a little while. You got to dig, okay, to get meaningful stuff and not just, I don't know, I like baseball. So emotions can feel defining, but we also need to remember they're just part of our experience. They're not who we are. I always tell my kiddos they aren't your boss. So they need to be validated, and they're a beautiful part of the human experience. But, they can change at the drop of a hat. So here's a fun way to express emotions, if that's a big part of who you are. Okay, and so, emotions that go beyond emotion. And what I mean by that is like the abstract nouns. So love, loyalty, freedom, justice, those kind of things. At this point in your life, one of those might have really gone deep for you. And maybe not. Everybody's different. Or maybe it has, but you didn't realize it had. So sometimes with the abstract nouns, you have to think about how you spend your time, why you spend your time that way, how you wish you could spend your time, what do you want to do with your life in the future, and then you can get to some of these things. Like, I love my family and I felt a loyalty to teaching, but the love of my family came first. And I'm so thankful in our country we have the freedom to make changes if we need to make changes in our lives. Okay, so goals. They can dictate our schedules and our options, our opinions. We gain experience, and that is helpful in life. Okay, so like I have a goal to learn more tech, and I had to make a goal because it's not my natural bend, but I'm really interested in it. Okay, I can make things fun with creative special effects and videos, and that's one thing I'd started learning about this summer, but I hadn't put enough time into it. So now it is a goal. And I want to advertise stuff for our farm and things that we are trying to buy this year. So we'll see. I have a goal to get in shape. Okay. And like, so this is me reflecting, and you would obviously do your own reflection, but I just wanted to model it for you. Why is something a goal to you? And is it worth, is it important enough and helpful to you to make some art to reflect on all your goals or to reflect on certain goals? Here is an idea of, again, representing a human in some way, and then the perspective of a human. What do they see? What are they dealing with when things are laid out before them? And these things can be symbolic, or they could be physical images of the goals or words about the goals, or it could just be purely abstract and it means something to you, and all like the lines and the shapes are intentional. So